You see here, hi guys and gals. Well, it's going to be a second vlog today. You can tell that I'm on Sunday and I'm having time to do these things. I was watching earlier vlog from David Nicholson. He probably put up a few days ago called Friendly City. And he was talking about, you know, how things had changed and, or, you know, about where he was and actually where it was less friendly before and then became more friendly and so on. And I was thinking about that. I was thinking, yeah, you know, there's a lot of cycles in that type of thing. There really is. I look over here, I mean, generally, Switzerland's a very friendly place. Let me qualify that. People don't actually say we're friendly, but we're orderly. Put it that way. Yeah, we're not actually, we don't have the reputation of being extremely friendly over here. We're rather reserved, actually. But nevertheless, as far as law and order goes, usually yes. Not too long ago, though, in a place where I walk by, I put a post up on Facebook in a rather less reputable place of town where I walked through to go to work. They torched a school bus, actually. And my son works there a part-time job at some days in the week, and he said there was more than a school bus that was torched, actually. Now, when we used to live in the Bern region 30 years ago now, over 30 years, you never needed to, you would go by a store. I'm not going to say the doors were open, but kind of almost, you know, because the stuff like was outside. A lot of the stuff that was outside, they didn't bother to put it back in the store in the evening because it was just kind of there, and nobody would go and steal it. And then, this sounds so politically incorrect in a way, but there was a very big immigration wave, and from countries that were a lot poorer. And around that same time, the crime wave just shot up, and those same stores started, you know, having to put things in, put fences around, stuff like that. And of course, as you can imagine, the Swiss immediately put it on the immigration problem. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but I mean, you know, there's things like that. Now I'm going to get back to Canada, where I was brought up. In the villages where my dad lived and where I was born, which were on the American border, there was actually at some period, some of the hotels had a lot of violence. And friendly? No, I guess one wouldn't say friendly, but very aggressive. I mean, and then, you know, we lived in a town where there was a lot, at the time, about 50-50, maybe just slightly more French than English speaking, but just barely. And so, you know, you could almost say that it was 50-50. People kind of, you know, got used to living with each other. So you got to see, actually, when you live in Quebec, French and English, it's almost a race thing, you know. It's people don't always think of it that way. Americans will say, well, it's got nothing to do with African Americans. Well, you know, if you live in Quebec, it almost does, or it almost did, at least when I was there. And my generation, like when we were school kids, geez, there would be fights, there'd be wars, basically. There would be horrible fights. I mean, we're talking about massive bloodletting and so on. I'm just really not joking. It was not funny. And yet, I mean, there was how many mixed marriages? And you know, look how I said it, mixed marriage. My dad and my mom, and you know, when we were kids at school, they would basically call us like hear the birds also as well. They would call us mixed race, you know, stuff like that. But you know, it's like, but the people that were like my dad's generation, there was no big deal. It was kind of like a school thing, and people got over it, I guess. I don't know. So, you know, friendly. There was this. Where is that thing? Oh, there it is. It just flew off. Yeah, so, you know, friendly cities, it sometimes goes through phases. I was listening to what Dave was saying, and it's very much the case. I don't know how it is now. I mean, I think that things have kind of like calmed down in a certain respect. I mean, there's like for example, the English-speaking school in the town where I am is now actually the only school, and there's both language groups are there. My high school was like that, but I mean that was like a war zone then. Things do change, don't they? Are we getting more used to living with each other? I would say no. The enemy moves over. That's kind of a horrible thing to say, but isn't it? I mean, it's like when we were kids, we didn't know as much about the rest of the world, so you had to have somebody to point to. Now you're just pointing at somebody else. Does that make sense? I kind of think it does, actually. You always need somebody to point to and say it's their fault. It's because of them. That's us human beings. We're not always a nice bunch of people, are we? Oh well, okay. I just kind of felt like I wanted to react to Dave's vlog. It was a really good one, by the way, Dave. I always like when you talk about things from your hometown. Brings me back to my hometown as well, which I really miss at times. Okay, BC signing off. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.